Sam Darnold had a massive performance in the NFC Championship game, but does that change his dynasty value? We'll tell you what we think next.
You are Locked On Dynasty Football, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Dynasty Football Podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We'd like to thank you for making us the #1 sports podcast network. I am your host, Marcus Mosher. He is the Fantasy Football Hall of Famer, Michael Fabiano. And on today's show, we're discussing the biggest winners and losers from the NFC and AFC Championship games. We're going to talk about Mike McCarthy being hired in Pittsburgh, which was shocking, at least to me. But I want to start with some winners, and we're going to start with Sam Darnold. I thought he was incredible yesterday, and I'm sure you did too. And I think he is somebody who has really improved his dynasty value this season and really into the postseason. But I think you might disagree a little bit. So I'll give you the floor. Does this performance change anything for you?
No. Sam Darnold did not improve his dynasty value this year. It decreased. He went from averaging around 18 points per game in Minnesota down to 14 points per game. His points per game average declined 4 or 5 points. That's not improving your fantasy value. He was very good against the Rams yesterday, and I give him all the credit in the world. The guy's in the Super Bowl. So I'm going to give him all the credit in the world in real football. In fantasy football, no. 14 points per game is not a good fantasy quarterback, man. It's mid. That's what the kids say. And so, I don't want to compare him to Troy Aikman because Aikman's won 3 Super Bowls and Aikman's in the Hall of Fame. And I don't know that Sam Darnold will accomplish either one of those two things, but Troy Aikman was not a good fantasy quarterback, but he was a really good real football quarterback, right? So I disagree with you. This did not move the needle for Sam Darnold for me. This season actually moved the needle backwards. Because in Minnesota, he thrived with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and TJ Hawkinson and all the talent they had in Kevin O'Connell's offense. That was an increase in dynasty value. But when he signed with the Seahawks, it went down immediately, in my opinion. And I think I was right based on the numbers. 14 points per game is not great. I mean, Jacoby Brissett averaged more points per game than Sam Darnold. If you look at the points per game average of quarterbacks this past season, and I'm not going to go into, some players on the list only started, say 5 games, but he's probably not even in the top 20, Marcus, in points per game average among quarterbacks who started at least 7 games. So let's include Joe Burrow in that mix. Let's include Baker. Let's include, Justin Fields averaged more points per game than him. I disagree with you on this one.
But this is why I think he has improved, is because if you're looking at ADP, like what his November and December ADP is, it's QB 20. That is basically the last quarterback in terms of the rankings that you feel good about starting. Sorry, that is going to start for sure in 2026, because you look at the rest of the names: Daniel Jones, Kyler Murray, Shedeur Sanders, JJ McCarthy, Tua Tagovailoa, Michael Penix, Jacoby Brissett. None of those guys are guaranteed jobs. What this postseason has done, and really what this season has done for Darnold, is it's guaranteed him a starting job for however many years he wants to play, right? Because if you take a team to the Super Bowl, and I think Seattle's going to win the Super Bowl, he's going to be a locked-in starter. This offseason, he had to basically take a prove-it deal. Even after a monster season in Minnesota, there just wasn't a lot of offers out there for him. If he wins the Super Bowl, he's the Super Bowl MVP. He's going to have a starting job forever. And even if we don't like the production, that still matters a ton from a dynasty
perspective. Wasn't the contract for $100 million?
But it was really a 1-year deal that Seattle could cut him from and have no dead cap after this year.
But on the high end, it's $100 million.
but only over 3 years. That's less than what these
$33 million a year. I mean, how much should he make? It's Sam Darnold.
Yeah, but he's like one of he's like the 16th or 17th highest paid quarterback in the league right now.
No, I get it. And listen, and this is where you have to separate real football from fantasy football. He's not a good fantasy quarterback. He's okay. But he's a Superflex QB2, Marcus, and he's not even that good of a one. He averaged 14 points per game.
By the way, he's the 18th highest paid quarterback in the NFL this season.
Okay, I mean that's fine. And he's probably right around the 18th best fantasy quarterback. I mean, like if we're talking about it, he's not young, and also like he's
not old though. He's 28.
No, I get it. But I mean, do you think he's going to have Matthew Stafford's career? Probably not. So when you look at it, and a guy drops 4 or 5 points per game off his average from one year to the next, that is not increasing your fantasy value. Maybe it's increasing his value in real football in terms of how much he should get paid. And listen, I got the Steve Largent on today, man. I'm going all Seahawks. I think they're going to win the Super Bowl because I do not like what I saw from Drake May yesterday. But the bottom line here is that fantasy is all about points. And he had one of the biggest decreases among quarterbacks in points per game this season. So no, he didn't improve his value. Look at his numbers beyond that Rams game. He had scored fewer than 12 points in 4 of his previous 5 games. That's brutally bad.
I mean, I think there's also some mitigating factors in there as well. I just think from a dynasty perspective.
But what mitigating factors? Like you can't just.
I mean, they had both.
I mean, the numbers are the numbers, right?
The offensive tackles were out for a long time. Charles Cross didn't play forever. He's dealing with an oblique injury in the first playoff game. They are also up by 40 points, so you didn't need to.
So he can't score more than 12 points because one of his offensive linemen.
Well, I mean, you're up by 40 points against San Fran. You don't need to throw the ball very much in that game.
No, well, in one of those games they were, but in the other game they weren't. It was very close.
Here's my point, Fabs.
He's not a good fantasy quarterback. He's just very okay. He's not great.
Which is fine. My point is from a dynasty perspective, that is still incredibly valuable because all those other names, QB 20 to QB 32, none of those guys are guaranteed to be starters next year. And we saw this with like Kyler Murray, right? Kyler Murray was benched in Arizona. Kyler Murray, yes, will give you more fantasy points per game.
So wait, you would rather have Sam Darnold than Kyler Murray going into next season? Kyler's going to be a starter someplace.
But
I'd rather have Kyler Murray all day long.
But Marcus. It's the fact that there's a good chance that he's not a starter in 2027.
Marcus Mosher, oh my goodness gracious! You don't think that Kyler Murray is one of the 20 best quarterbacks on the planet, and then he's not going to get a starting job? No. Listen, man, I love you like a brother. That I think that's insane.
I mean,
Arizona Kyler Murray is better from a fantasy standpoint than Sam Darnold ever was.
100%.
And he's going to get a starting job someplace. Now, if he goes to the Jets, I don't want him.
But he's not a better real-life quarterback, and that's what gives you staying power. So if you're in a super flex league, it's really important that you have a quarterback that starts every single year, and it isn't just
Kyler had started every game every single year until this year, and then he got hurt. And then Arizona kind of decided, we're done, and now they're going to make a move. I mean, he's going to start someplace next season. There's no doubt about that. There's no doubt about that.
But this reminds me a lot of the Justin Fields conversation.
But Justin Fields is not as good as Kyler Murray by a mile.
I don't disagree, but it's the same principle of, yes, you are a better fantasy player when you play, but we cannot trust you to play all 16 games, and that really matters.
It's 1 year though, Marcus. That's it. Just one. He was a starter every single other year. Like it was 1 year. He got hurt.
Who, Kyler?
Yeah.
Yes, but this happens fast though with these guys. If a team like Arizona gives up on you halfway through the season, it's not a great sign.
Listen, I'm not saying that it is, but sometimes you go to another place. Like Daniel Jones went to Indianapolis. It was fantastic. Kyler Murray's going to start someplace else. I'd rather have him all day long. It's not even a question over Sam Darnold in Dynasty.
All right. Well, we want to know from you guys. Would you rather have Darnold or Kyler Murray going forward? Right now on dynastyleaguefootball.com, Sam Darnold QB 20, Kyler Murray QB 23. Let us know.
Wrong. Totally wrong. Incorrect.
They're basically, I think they're the same age, by the way. If that helps you at all.
Yeah. But Kyler can run with the ball.
I can. Really quickly on JSN, he was unbelievable. He's not going to change too much from a dynasty perspective. He was already wide receiver 1. It just, this game reinforced why we love him so much. Any thoughts on JSN before we move on?
Dude's amazing. Huge game. The Rams defense is not good against wide receivers all year long, and he took full advantage of that. I think the other player that we have to mention though in that game is Kenneth Walker.
He looked awesome.
He had another big game. That dude, I'm watching some of the moves that he's making. That guy is elusive, man. Like he's elusive like that chicken in Rocky. Remember when Mickey was like You got to chase chickens, right? Like, and Rocky couldn't get, he is so elusive.
He is.
I mean, the Rams defense was like, breaking their ankles trying to, please put him in a starting job next year where he's not.
Yeah,
he's
it will be in Seattle.
The problem is, though, I mean, like now, Seattle's not going to let him go.
No, it'll be back.
And Charbonnet's going to be out until when? November, maybe? I mean, so I guess maybe next season, the dynasty value of Kenneth Walker has certainly increased.
All right, let's talk about some losers from the 2 games that we watched on Sunday, including some rookie running backs. We'll get to that next. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. The big game is almost here, and there's no better way to stay locked into every moment than with Prize Picks, the daily fantasy app where it always feels good to be right. And with football season coming down to the final stretch, now is the perfect time to close it out strong. Prize Picks makes watching the game even more exciting by letting you build simple lineups around player projections, no drafts, no waiting, just football action all the way through the playoffs. Prize Picks is incredibly easy to get started. You just pick 2 or more players and choose more or less on their projections. Download the Prize Picks app today and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right.
What if sports were traded like markets? Now you can put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood predictive markets. It's not you against the house. It's you participating in a live market. You can buy or sell your positions live all game long. Use your sports knowledge in the moments that matter. Robinhood prediction markets changes the game. It's people moving the action. So when momentum shifts, you can move with it. I always knew the game, but never had a dynamic way to apply that knowledge. Now I can actually take part live in a market powered by people. You're no longer just a spectator. Play by play, you decide. Trade every play with Robinhood. Now available across the U.S. Download the Robinhood app now to begin. Futures and cleared swaps trading involves significant risk and is not appropriate for everyone. Event contracts are offered by Robinhood Derivatives, LLC, a registered futures commission merchant and swap firm.
Welcome back to the Locked On Dynasty Football Podcast. We'd like to thank you for making us your first listen every single day. If you're not a part of the Everydayer Club, you should be. You're going to get ad-free episodes of this podcast compatible with every podcast app for just $5 a month. Go to lockedondynasty.supercast.com or check out the link in the show notes. All right, Fabs, let's talk about some losers from round 3. There weren't a ton, especially in that Patriots-Broncos game. You couldn't even see the field.
You know who the winners were? The Snowflakes. Those were the winners, and all the fans out there that got to enjoy that glorious snow game.
Correct. It was not the fans that were sitting there, the fans at home. I love watching the snow game.
I think that's like a red badge of courage, right? To say that I was at that game and froze my tuchus off, but stayed there.
All right. So who are some losers from round 3 of the playoffs?
TreVeyon Henderson, man. And listen, I have said this before and I'll say it again. I love the talent. He played 4 snaps, Marcus. 4. That's it. Ramondre Stevenson played 60 snaps and had 25 touches. And the Patriots are in the Super Bowl now. And guess who their best offensive player has been the entire playoffs? Ramondre Stevenson.
May. Oh, not Drake May. Their punter.
So all I'm saying is that, like, if you've got Henderson in Dynasty and you're thinking 2026 is his year to break out, you're wrong. Stevenson's going to be the starter there again, and it's going to be a committee again. And the ceiling for TreVeyon Henderson is going to be limited again. Guys, he played 4 snaps in the biggest game of the season. That does not tell me that Mike Vrabel has confidence in him. I don't get it. I don't understand. I love the talent. Marcus probably feels the same way, but we don't coach the team. And when running back plays 60 snaps and has 25 touches, and the other guy who's supposed to be better than him has 4 snaps and 3 touches, we are wrong. Vrabel is going to continue to make this a nightmare for fantasy managers. And imagine if Stevenson has a big game against Seattle in the Super Bowl. Forget about it. It's over.
You're right that this was a really rough game for TreVeyon Henderson. And I don't disagree with you about 2026. I will say, though, beyond that, I have a hard time getting too down. On
Yes,
Henderson
of course. But we want
Well,
immediate gratification, and we're not going to get it next
Well,
season
and-
unless Stevenson gets hurt.
And Ramondre is, I think he's 27. I'm double checking his age. Right? Yeah, he's 27 years old. I believe he'll be 28 next season.
But he came into the league older than most running backs, though, right? So
yes, he did. Absolutely. And I think you'll see a more of a shift towards Henderson in 2026. And by 2027, he's going to be the absolute lead guy. And it might even happen at some point next year. But you're right. Stevenson has been really good. And I wonder if in this game, it was as simple as the weather was bad, the field was bad, using a speed running back probably wasn't going to be super successful.
What about the previous week and the week before?
Well, same thing though. I mean, the weather was bad against Houston, right? It was raining, and then Houston's defense is the fastest.
So then Mike Vrabel can't trust TreVeyon Henderson in poor weather conditions?
No, I think it's more the defense, right? Like, I don't think the speed of Henderson on the outside made a lot of sense against Houston and Denver. I think what they cared about is just getting the 2 and 3 yard runs, right?
Let's also remember, though, that this has been the game plan all year long. It's not just 2 games or 3 games. Stevenson's been the guy every single week, just about throughout the entirety of Henderson's rookie campaign, unless Stevenson was out.
I'm with you in the sense that there's right now I can't draft TreVeyon Henderson at RB7, which is currently his ADP over on Dynasty League Football.
Wicked high,
I'm just also, you look at some of the running backs behind him, like Bucky Irving and Christian McCaffrey and Breece Hall. Like, none of those guys excite me all that much to put them like way above TreVeyon. So I think I'm just holding here, being patient, but I am a little concerned that Ramondre is just a good player that's going to be in the way for a while.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I warn people about. The same thing about Denver and RJ Harvey. We got to talk about him too. He averaged 2.9 yards per carry. He had 59 total yards. And my guess is that if J.K. Dobbins was able to come back and the Broncos went to the Super Bowl, J.K. Dobbins would have probably been in a 50-50 timeshare with RJ Harvey. And listen, RJ Harvey was a league winner for a lot of people. And so I'm not going to poo-poo him too much, but he wasn't great the last couple of weeks. And he had every opportunity to be great, and he wasn't. So that concerns me somewhat. And also, let's just remember that this is Sean Payton. He likes to use multiple backs. Right. He did it during his time in New Orleans. Now, there were seasons where they both were very good. You go back to Mark Ingram, you go back to Reggie Bush, you go back to, Alvin Kamara, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I wonder if Harvey's ceiling is not just more sort of tapped than, we're predicting. RJ is going to be, I would think, the lead back next season. But does Denver bring back J.K. Dobbins? Do they draft another running back?
I don't think it'll be Dobbins. I think there'll be somebody. It'll be another veteran that's younger and healthier. But I agree. I think this is going to be a running back by committee approach. There's no doubt.
Yeah. And that's kind of not what we wanted. Especially when RJ Harvey was like, 3-4 weeks ago, Marcus, we were like, throwing a party about RJ Harvey's dynasty value. And wow, look at how great he is. And now, that's football, ebbs and flows, that kind of thing. But I would have liked to have seen him make a bigger impact. And I know that, that it was snowing and whatever. That wasn't the case every single game, in the postseason for Denver. But I do worry, and I think you and I both agree, whether it's Dobbins or some other veteran running back, they're bringing somebody in to compete with RJ Harvey, and that'll cap his ceiling.
2 more quick losers. Kyren Williams, 10 carries for 39 yards in this game. Blake Corum actually got 9 carries.
He looks good too.
Yeah, it just feels like this is going to be a backfield where Blake Corum's getting more and more opportunities. I still think Kyron's going to be the lead back there next year just because Sean McVay trusts him so much.
Yeah, and money.
And money. But Corum saw more targets. He had more receiving yards. This was, last year a running backfield where Kyren was getting like 95% of the snaps. I just don't see that being the case moving forward.
No, I would agree. I still think Kyren Williams, at the end of the day, Blake Corum did dent his touches a little bit this season before Corum got hurt. He had that ankle injury, and Kyren Williams still finishes a top 10 running back in fantasy. I think the ceiling he's going to do enough to still be in that RB1 conversation.
Yeah, because you're getting 290 touches, right? And you're going to score a bunch of touchdowns. So we still really like Kyren. It's just the ceiling I don't think is there the way it was in previous years.
He may be a player that you want to sell right now.
If you can, though. I wonder if there's going to be other dynasty managers having the same concerns. And maybe you could buy him at 75 cents on the dollar after kind of a rough outing here against the Seahawks. One more, Jared Stidham. We talked about him on Friday. So maybe having a good enough game to join a quarterback competition, not going to happen.
Nope. It's funny too, because when he had that second drive where he hit that long pass to Marvin Mims and then threw the touchdown pass to Courtland Sutton, everyone on Twitter, including myself, was like, okay, well, that was better than the first drive. Let's see what he can continue to do, because Drake May looks like he's seeing ghosts. And ultimately, Drake May did not beat the Broncos through the air. He beat them with his feet. And that's what Drake May brings to the table. I don't like what I've seen from Drake May in the playoffs. I got to be honest with you. And I love him, and I still think he's going to be great. He was great this past season, but I am really worried about that Seahawks defense just absolutely just decimating Drake May in Super Bowl.
To be fair, think of the defenses they played.
I get it.
Chargers.
I get it.
Texans.
I get it.
Broncos, and now you're playing Seattle. That's like what, 4 of the top 6 defenses in the NFL.
And there's still people on social media, Marcus, who think that the Patriots got into the Super Bowl because their schedule was such a cakewalk. Come on, stop.
I mean, it kind of was.
Well, listen. Give me the 3 teams they just beat in the playoffs.
The Chargers with no offensive line, the Texans with no quarterback, and no Nico Collins.
Wait a minute, CJ Stroud played.
Yeah, but I mean, kind of.
I mean, come on, don't be one of those excuse people. You can only play the team that's in front of you. They just beat Denver. I get it, without their start, but they beat Josh Allen this year. They beat Lamar Jackson this year. I know he got banged up in that game. They've won games against good teams, and they beat the teams they were supposed to beat. You know who doesn't do that? Teams like the Cowboys, who stay home.
All right.
Listen, I'm just being honest here.
Speaking of the Cowboys, their former head coach was hired this weekend. Let's talk about Mike McCarthy in Pittsburgh next. This episode is brought to you by Indeed. If you've ever hired someone who looked good on paper but wasn't the right fit, you know how important that is. When you want candidates who truly match what you're looking for, trust Indeed sponsored jobs. Hiring Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other sites. Indeed's sponsored jobs puts your post at the top of the page and helps you reach the right candidates faster. If I ever needed to hire someone for the show, I would go straight to Indeed and be very specific about what I needed. Real experience and not just some resume buzzwords. Spend more time interviewing candidates who check all of your boxes with less stress, less time, and more results using Indeed sponsored jobs. And listeners of this show get a $75 sponsored job credit to help give your job the premium placement it deserves at Indeed.com/LockedOnNFL. Just go to Indeed.com/LockedOnNFL right now and support the show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, do it the right way with Indeed. Welcome back to the Locked On Dynasty Football Podcast. We'd like to thank you for making us your first listen of the day. Let's talk about Mike McCarthy being hired in Pittsburgh. I think a lot of people assumed this was going to be like Chris Shula's job, or maybe they would go with another defensive-minded coach. Nope, it is a 62-year-old Mike McCarthy who has a really long track record of offensive success. How much does this change your opinion on the skilled players in Pittsburgh?
I don't know who their quarterback is. I don't know if Ken Gainwell's back. I don't know who their number 2 wide receiver is. So I have a lot of questions, but I like this hire from a fantasy perspective. From a real football perspective, you know that meme with the Spider-Man and they're like pointing at each other? It's like the 3. Mike Tomlin and Mike McCarthy are same. Like, listen to these numbers. Mike McCarthy, 18 seasons. He had a winning percentage of .608. Tomlin, 19 seasons, winning percentage of .628. Mike McCarthy, postseason record 11-11. Tomlin, postseason record 8-12. They've both won 8 divisions and they've both won 1 Super Bowl. So, to me, it's weird because Pittsburgh forever has hired head coaches that just stay for a long time. Like, you can go back to Chuck Noll. If you don't know who that is, go check him out. And then, of course, you had Bill Cowher, and then you have Tomlin. I don't think Mike McCarthy's going to be there for 10, 20 years. I mean, especially at his age. But from a fantasy standpoint, I like the move. Now, are they going to bring back Aaron Rodgers or not? I have no idea. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. Rodgers kind of
my guess is no. I don't think Rodgers.
He didn't look as great down the stretch, but they're going to bring somebody in. I don't know who it's going to be. They're bringing somebody in.
I got a name.
Yep, go ahead.
Mike McCarthy kind of needs a quarterback that has a strong arm, especially if you're playing in Pittsburgh, to kind of cut through the wind and throw the ball, down the sidelines. I think Joe Flacco would actually be a good bridge quarterback to whatever rookie or to Will Howard. I think that actually makes more sense than Aaron Rodgers.
And that,
go ahead.
And that would complete his AFC North reign. He would have played for every single team in that division, which is pretty funny.
I just think that's a better scheme fit. I mean,
sure,
Rodgers just doesn't want to get hit anymore, and his arm looks dead.
So a lot of question marks, but McCarthy has almost always had success on the offensive side of the football. Mm-hmm. I think this is good for Jaylen Warren. I don't know who their number one tight end is going to be. I mean,
I do. It's going to be Freiermuth.
You think it's going to be Freiermuth?
Yeah. Look at Mike McCarthy's track record with like tight ends in Green Bay or in Dallas. I mean, he got Dalton Schultz and Jake Ferguson to have like unbelievable seasons. I just don't think Darnold, who's not a great mover, is going to be somebody that McCarthy likes. I think he's going to be, more into the Mercedes Lewis role that he had in Green Bay.
So somebody's got to go. I mean,
Jonu's a free agent. I think Jonu Smith will be the guy out.
Is Jonu a free agent?
I think I'm pretty sure that they've restructured that deal so they can get out of it with no dead cap hit. I'm pretty sure that's what's going to happen.
So so to me, I mean, Freiermuth and Washington are most likely to stay. And
I just think Freiermuth is a better option.
They have no wide receiver depth at all. Like they need to get wide receivers in now, right? Brandon Ayuk, I don't know, bring him in. Whatever. Bring in some people to help DK Metcalf and to help that offense, because that was brutal. And we don't know if Gainwell's going to be back either. I would think he'd probably want to stay there, because I don't know that he'd have a significant role as he did in Pittsburgh if he went someplace else, but still a lot of question marks. But from a fantasy perspective, again, I like this move.
I think
I have no problem with it at all.
Here's my expectation. I don't know if Gainwell comes back, because I think Warren is actually a really good fit. I think they'll use Caleb Johnson as kind of between the tackle runner. My expectation is
buying low on Caleb Johnson right now, Marcus?
Yeah, fairly low. I mean, I mean, yeah, kind of. I do think he fits a Mike McCarthy offense fairly well. But I think what's going to happen with this Pittsburgh wide receiver core, you're going to see them sign some former Mike McCarthy guys like Jaylen Tolbert. That's not exciting for fantasy. I get it. I think it's going to be somebody like that. You have DK Metcalf, and then I think they're going to be really aggressive in the draft, going up and getting one of the top 3 receivers, probably Mekhi Lemon, a guy that can play in the slot, can play in the outside. He'll be their version of CeeDee Lamb. And that's what this offense is going to look like until they get a quarterback.
Yeah. Pittsburgh's got a lot of moves to make on the offensive side of the football this offseason. So, we'll see. I was trying to think of some players that McCarthy might bring in based on, where he's been in the past. I couldn't really think of any. So, Pittsburgh's just got to,
I know. Be surprised if Cooper Rush was like a backup quarterback there.
Cooper Rush looked like garbage last season, man.
When he was playing with McCarthy,
when he had to play, oh my goodness. I mean, it's possible. I'm talking about more players who are more going to be prominent, that kind of thing. So
there's not many out there, honestly.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. So Pittsburgh's got a lot of improvements they need to make on the offensive side of the football, because their offense was dreadful, and I'm not going to blame it all on Aaron Rodgers. I mean, when your number 2 wide receivers are, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, Calvin Austin, and Roman Wilson, who's been a complete dud in the league, you're not going to have much success through the air.
But at least the Pittsburgh offense should enter the 21st century in terms of being able to throw the ball and using some creative stuff. So that part of it is really, really good.
Yes.
All right. That is it for today's show. We'd like to thank you for making Locked On Dynasty your first listen every single day. Subscribe and follow the podcast so you can get all of the latest episodes. And if you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Get Locked On Dynasty ad-free plus members-only Discord access and so much more. Head over to lockedondynasty.supercast.com to join the club. And for those of you on video, we can send you the first ever 24/7 national NBA YouTube channel. And on audio, make your second listen the Locked On NFL podcast. Follow Fabs on Twitter at Michael_Fabiano. I'm at Marcus_Mosher, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow.